Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Oops, the British Boxing Board of Control and UKAD have officially taken a knee. They've made official statements that they will not be appealing the National Anti-Doping Panel's verdict that Conor Benn is cleared. And look, TalkSport, and you know what I'm talking about in particular, and some of you can say he's not cleared. He is cleared. He is cleared, yeah? People talking, what about strict liability? Yeah, what about it? The mainstream media who cover boxing either deliberately miss or they don't know about all the other inconsistencies from all the other testing agencies, boards and commissions, and how fighters have came to resolve their issues without necessarily proving they was innocent. You know, all the more common cases are fighters who can potentially earn a lot of money. The board and UKAD can't afford a drawn-out case with these individuals, and they've got to let it slide.
I let it slide, I let it slide, I let it slip on by.
Light heavyweight Liam Cameron, he done 4 years suspension for cocaine. Didn't Tyson Fury get busted for cocaine? He didn't do 4 years for cocaine. The facts are, there was a suspension, and the suspension has been twice lifted. And the final nail in the coffin landed today. The board and UKAD took a knee, they're not appealing. Conor Benn cleared of all charges.
Eddie, Conor Benn, UKAD not going to appeal that decision. Are you concerned about WADA and this 21 days or not really?
You know, I think the time has come. You're never going to change everybody's mind because some people are stubborn, some people have an agenda, some people don't like people. But having gone through all these processes that you so desperately wanted him to go through and winning, and I still want to make one thing clear. No ban, no backdated ban, no fine, no decision on jurisdiction. All the things that the naysayers keep going, he's serving a ban, and no, he's never been banned. He's never had a ban. He's never had a fine. He's not served any backdated ban. He won his case. He was exonerated. Why don't you just give him the respect of saying, fair dues, he went through the process and he won. Oh, he didn't just win once. He won 3 times.
But look, they're talking about Chris Eubank taking on Erislandy Lara for the WBA title so he can finally actually become a world champion rather than piddling around with Conor. And Conor's talking about taking on Mario Barrios so he can become a world champion. Now, it's obvious what the plan is. If they both can win titles in their next fights and then make the fight, and the fight will likely make more money. I'm assuming that both Matchroom and Boxer are going to try and get Barrios and Lara over to Great Britain rather than Chris or Conor having to go over there. Well, I'll tell you what, the PBC, Lara in particular, are going to take Ben Shalom for as much as they can get to bring him over here. No doubt about that.
Give me all your money.
You know, Eubank has got that 75-inch reach to contend with, no matter how old Lara is. Lara will land that jab at will on Chris. I guarantee that. Lara got a better jab than George Groves. He's going to land that jab at will, as old as he is.
Barrios, Eubank, etc. In terms of Eubank, I know there's a little bit of noise around a fight with Lara.
He ain't going to fight Lara.
No?
What, you think he's going to fight a 42-year-old man that will beat him?
Ben should be beating the likes of Barrios, who's a good fighter, but Ben should get a good points win over Barrios, a good UD over Barrios. But the Eubank-Lara fight, yeah, I know he's 41, but he's still got way more skills than Chris. Way more.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Callum Smith returns to the ring over 8 rounds on Saturday against Carlos Galvan on the undercard of Galal YAFAI and Sonny Edwards, amid speculation that he could fight Joshua BUATSI early in 2025. Now, where's the speculation coming from? It certainly isn't Ben Shalom. It's from Eddie Hearn, who says this is the type of fight we will be looking for because BUATSI holds that interim title, WBO, and that will obviously give the likes of Callum Smith, who's not ranked by the WBO, but I'm sure if he wins on Saturday, will pop up in their rankings. The winner would get a direct link at the winner of the rematch of Beterbiev and Bivol, which is supposed to take place on that stacked card in February. Well, how realistic is it that we'll see BUATSI and Callum Smith with the issues that Matchroom and Boxer have? Well, despite Anthony Yarde fighting on a Boxer card last time out, the A-side politics between Anthony Yarde and his team and BUATSI and his team have not resolved itself. And it's unlikely, at least in the first half of next year, we see BUATSI versus Yard. It's very unlikely. And then you've got the standoff between Ben Shalom and Eddie Hearn. So how likely is it that Callum will be fighting Joshua BUATSI? We'll see. But Eddie Hearn said, yeah, that's the type of opponent we'll be looking for. And in all truth, politics aside and bullshit aside, BUATSI will not be fighting for one of the major belts in the first half of next year. And he needs a decent fight. He's been inactive. He needs a decent fight. And the best two opponents at 175 in the UK is AY or Mundo. The other alternative, Callum Smith versus Yard, is an excellent fight. Why don't you go after him? The undercard for Edwards versus YAFAI was put on perhaps hastily, and the schedule was kind of tight. And Callum Smith's involvement wasn't until recent. And Buddy McGirt, his trainer, will not be able to fly across and be there. But Callum has let us know that they're still working together. You know, like Callum, Beterbiev fight aside, looked pretty impressive in his first two light heavyweight outings. So I think they should stick with it. It's a shame he can't be there tomorrow. I don't know who's replacing Buddy.
Boxing
Beats and rhymes.
No one.
can do it better.
Steve Kim, he says, it's a good thing Twitter/X wasn't around in the era of the Rumble in the Jungle, or the Thriller in Manila, with all the phony outrage and virtue signalling. It would have been insane on this app. And he's talking about you-know-who are running things in boxing right now. The General Entertainment Authority. Riyadh season. Somebody replied, Mabutu and Marcus were sports washing OGs. Well, Mabutu, president of Zaire, and Marcos, president of the Philippines, probably not going to win Humanist of the Century Awards, but then again, would the leaders of the West, the UK, America, people speak about their human violations, but they held arguably the two biggest events in the history of boxing. Iconic boxing events. What about Bob Arum? He promoted numerous cards in South Africa, several of them WBA heavyweight title fights, with Cedric Kushner in Sun City in the 80s, in the midst of anti-apartheid, real bullets, rubber bullets, water cannon, oppression and all. I wonder if Bob would have got away with that in this era of social media, 24/7 news.
I don't think so.
And look, I'm not here to pretend that I'm like some angry activist against Bob Arum. He did what he did. But how far do we go back? Or how far does it have to go back before we say, well, it is years back, you can't judge it by today? Well, look, I'm still breathing on the planet, and I was alive when the Rumble in the Jungle and the Thriller in Manila were happening. I was too young to remember anything about it, way too young. But it's contemporary history. As for the Saudis buying the silence of the media, well, we'll have to see how that plays out. They certainly wouldn't be the first to use the media, to buy the silence of the media in the West. And I'm not just talking about the industry of boxing. Tevin Farmer, post-fight, Latino nights after he lost that split decision to William Cepeda, he said there was no testing pre-fight or post-fight. And the mainstream media never dealt with his query. The Ring magazine, bought by Turki Al-Sheikh and the General Entertainment Authority, they haven't dealt with it. But then again, when Dave Allen, post-fight, pre-fight, Fraser Clark said he wasn't tested. Liam Smith said he wasn't tested pre-fight, post-fight against Eubank. I didn't see TalkSport or none of the British media pull that up either. Bob Arum, he got away with a lot of shit with Oscar Valdez and his drug violation, as did Golden Boy and Canelo. You can't do that unless you have certain members of mainstream media in your pocket. Now, if it's a situation that gets out of hand with the Saudis, people are going to pull it up. They're going to pull it up. But a lot of people are going to look past it if they're getting the stacked up cards that they're projecting February the 22nd. They'll look past it. People in the West, are very selective when they turn a blind eye or they want to be outraged by quote-unquote corruption.
I know they wish I turned a blind eye.
Boxing
Beats and rhymes.
No one.
can do it better.
In this latest episode, Ben Shalom and boxer Double X will Sky renew their contract going into 2025. The boxing streets are saying,
Their time's limited.
Hey, yo, Stone, time's up.
I think what DAZN are doing for the sport of boxing is incredible. I wish every broadcaster would invest the way they do. They're very, very passionate about the sport. They've got a huge team, huge budgets, investing in many different markets, working not just with Matchroom Queensbury, but many other promoters. And we worked with them on Saturday as well.
You know, I've never heard Frank Warren said, I wish every broadcaster would invest like DAZN is investing in the sport. I've never heard Eddie Hearn say that while he was on Sky or DAZN, or while Frank was on TNT, or anywhere else he was at. Ben's auditioning for a DAZN gig. Obviously, he's probably heard,
Hey, yo, Stone, time's up.
there's some people just being extra cruel, saying DAZN won't want Ben Shalom. He'll get the DAZN gig, but the roster's got a little rebuilding to do. Fraser Clark, Ben Whitaker, Billiam Smith, etc., etc. I think he should team up with Mick Hennessy, who's been beefing up his cards anyway. He should team up with Mick Hennessy and just continue to do what he's doing. But that's if Sky do cancel his tenure. It's not written in stone yet. They might keep him on for another term. Who knows? But yeah, if he was to get Mick Hennessy on board, he'll have the McKenna brothers, Isaac Chamberlain, and a few other fighters. But the rumours could be true. But the rumours are saying that Sky are likely to get out of boxing. That would be crazy. You know, that's literally the whole of my adult life. They might just take a little break, revise if it's worth it, strategize how they're going to get back in. Because last time out, after Matchroom and Eddie Hearn left, they just jumped straight in with Ben Shalom, really. They didn't really give themselves a period of reflection after Matchroom left. I mean, Matchroom left when they was on a very successful run, and that's without the Saudi money. They done tremendous things in terms of turning the sport into an attraction when it was on its ass in the UK for years. And that has to be attributed to the Eddie Hearn and Matchroom / Sky Sports. Kell Brook going over to America, winning the title. Carl Froch and his much talked about 80,000. Then AJ took up the stadium fights. It was a very successful period. And I think Sky were rocked to their foundations. They wanted to keep Eddie Hearn there. They wanted to keep Anthony Joshua there. And when both of them were gone, they instinctively said, right, we're going to dig our heels in and keep going, without really thinking it through and planning out who was going to replace Matchroom, who was going to replace Eddie Hearn, etc., etc. And they might well need a little chill out period.
Boxing
Beats and rhymes.
No one
can do it better.
Shakur Stevenson versus William Cepeda was all set to happen until William injured his hand while fighting Tevin Farmer last weekend. So you would naturally think Shakur would start targeting, I don't know, a Frank Martin or a Murataya, some other world champion, right? No. Shakur and Lonesome Eddie made an offer to my 22-year-old prospect, Kid Austin, who has no world championship experience.
Come on, man.
This is exactly what I mean when I say Eddie doesn't know how to build a career. Look, Bob Arum built Shakur Stevenson to become a world champion. And in his first fight with Matchroom, you actually want to put him in with a prospect, Eddie?
Come on now, dog.
I didn't think it could get any lower for you, but it does.
First off, Frank Martin is coming off a knockout loss. And if Shakur took that fight, you know what Oscar would be, and I got to do the accent.
Shakur picked Frank Martin just come off a knockout defeat. Eddie just picking bad opponents for this guy. That's why he can't sell.
And all that nut shit, yeah? That cocaine talk.
Cocaine running around my brain.
Cokeheads, deceptive, liars. If you grew around it, you know what I'm talking about. Floyd Schofield and his dad called out Shakur. At Shakur Stevenson, you said if Cepeda ducks you, we were next. I sent Eric Gomez an email asking him to let us fill in and win the fights at William Cepeda. The ball is in your court now. Now, if any of the media in America is watching this, yeah, the next time you speak to Eric Gomez, ask him if Floyd Schofield or his dad sent them an email about asking to fight Shakur Stevenson in place of William Cepeda. Don't even bother. Oscar's a liar. And the fact that Golden Boy have someone like this representing them, some might say it's cringy, embarrassing. No, it's not that. He's an idiot. It's just incompetence and it's wasting our time. Oscar probably told Floyd and his dad, call Shakur out so I can shut it down and talk about it on my Clapback, whatever, or Crackhead Thursday, whatever they call it.
You're lying, you're lying.
It's no secret Eddie and Sky Nicholson have been linked romantically since 2022. Rumors have been flying throughout the boxing community about them for years. And as I investigate further, it's becoming clear that there's likely some unethical and preferential treatment happening here. Bruh. Here you are in Miami with Sky outside a club.
I don't know. It looks like this obsession could turn into a defamation case if that's where he's going with it now. You know, I don't know what Eddie does, because Eddie said he found a clapback or crackhead thing he was doing funny. It was amusing. It was just making him more popular. But at what cost? It's hard to believe that Eddie's younger than Oscar. Oscar's flipping 51. Eddie's still in his 40s.
We saw Oscar De La Hoya's latest edition of Clapback Thursday last night, and it's a Clapback Thursday that's already been taken down.
Oh, I did watch it before it was taken down.
Do you believe Oscar De La Hoya possibly has taken it too far?
No, he's clearly gone too far, and they've asked him to take it down.
So he didn't take the post down. It had to be taken down from off Instagram. He wouldn't take it down. There's no way he'd take it down. And I don't know, if Eddie doesn't take legal action, it could be a sign that maybe he is knocking Sky off to some people, or he doesn't want to put his family, he's got daughters and a wife, his old man, his mum, putting them through all that mess. It's just messy.
Boxing
beats and rhymes.
No one
can do it better.
I was going to end the video there, but I feel after the last article we covered, do a little news in brief. Dimitri Salita is crazy if he thought that Vladimir Shishkin versus William SCULL in October was controversial enough to warrant an immediate rematch. It was close. SCULL won it. Hometown decision perhaps in Germany. Salita made an official protest to the German Federation and to the IBF, and they both said no. They're saying Shishkin will remain number 2 in the rankings. SCULL must make a mandatory defense on or before April the 19th, 2025. The winner of this mandatory will have to defend against Shishkin before August the 17th, 2025. The problem is there is no mandatory challenger for SCULL at present. On December the 10th, Christian MBILLI, number 3 IBF ranked challenger, and Diego Pacheco at 4, have been nominated to fight an eliminator. Purse bids are scheduled for December the 10th. So let me get this right. You want SCULL to fight a mandatory, but there's no mandatory there. So what will that mean? Will Shishkin have to wait until Pacheco and MBILLI have their eliminator, and then he'll be next up? I don't know. Very confusing, IBF. Very confusing. ZELFA Barrett, he was supposed to fight on a VIP promotions yesterday. He's still signed to Matchroom, but right now Matchroom are outsourcing their fighters to the likes of VIP Promotions, Steve Wood, Top Tier Promotions. Is that Charlie Sims? Tony Sims' brother? They're based in Essex anyway. And also they've been helping fill out some of GBM's cards on DAZN. Anyway, Zelfa's fight fell through. It's supposed to be tomorrow. His Mexican opponent has been ruled out. No specific reason. But Eddie Hearn said that Barrett, who's now 31 years of age, is due a big fight. And they're talking about matching him with Ray Ford, super featherweight. And the fight could take place in America or the UK. Eddie Hearn said he's got to fight, he's got to get out, and then we've got to throw him in. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. It's a tough fight for both men as well.
Boxing
beats and rhymes.
No one
can do it better.
Only a few will understand and appreciate what's about.